Join us each week as Andrew, Ray, and others bring us in on one of their weekly phone conversations with an amazing agent. This is Little Oak Weekly.
Hello there, everybody. This is Andrew Bracewell, and you're listening to Little Oak Weekly. On this week's episode, we get to spend some time with Shawn Webster. Shawn, as you will hear, is an amazing conversationalist. I just love spending the time with her that I did. And we get into some really cool topics. We talk about her previous career, working in radio. She was actually the eye in the sky, those helicopters that fly above us and tell us what's going on in traffic in the mornings and afternoons. I had no idea that that was part of her past, but we get into that, and that was quite fun and exciting. We talk about the challenges of the market and representing buyers right now and some of the challenges that come with sellers, and a few other interesting topics as well. Her life as a server at the Keg. Did you know that she used to serve John Corey in the Abbotsford Keg location back in the day? So all kinds of fun things we get into. I really enjoyed my time with Shawn. She's a really cool individual, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this episode as well. So without further ado, here is Shawn Webster.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we're doing this again.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, a lot has happened since the last time around, that's for sure.
I know. I look back on that. That was April 2020. Me, you, Sandra, and Pratik. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah. With all our sage wisdom about what the pandemic would bring.
Wasn't that crazy? Like I actually, I should have listened I didn't listen to that podcast. I should have listened to it. It would have been interesting to just, I don't know, hear what we thought or what we were thinking at that time. Maybe I'll re-listen to that. That was a very different. Yeah, I don't think any of us knew what was going on at that time. That was weird times.
Well, I think we all thought it was going to be over by fall, right? So. Well,
remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I believe was the quote.
That's right. Yeah.
Here we are, whatever it is, 19, 20 months later.
And that curve is not flat.
No, we just have a new virus that we have to live with forever. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, where do you live?
I live in Surrey, in Fraser Heights area.
Fraser Heights.
North side of
okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to envision, where you'd be talking, where you'd be sitting as we're talking this morning. I thought to myself, I don't even know where I don't know if you're a condo, townhouse, house. Do you have a house in Fraser Heights?
Yeah, we're in a house. I've been here since 94.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on my fifth house in this neighborhood.
In the same neighborhood?
Yeah.
So tell me about the neighborhood. You live in like the street of all streets or what?
No, I wouldn't say that. It is a nice neighborhood. Definitely some very high-end homes in a couple of areas.
Yeah.
We're not in those areas, but but decent area.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, no, we're not. But it's we're on a regular sized lot, right? We're not on one of the half acres. But it's been a great area. It's been a great area to raise the kids and all of that. It's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. When I was just kind of thinking about some of the things we were going to chat about, I thought, I feel like there's a pretty big difference, and I'm maybe getting ahead of where the conversation's going.
No,
but
whatever. You're the boss. You go where you want.
Between where we are here and where you're practicing real estate in Abbotsford, like the changes have, obviously continually moved eastward, but just in the way we do things here, it's changed so much because of immigration. Like our neighborhood, the cultural identity of our neighborhood has changed, really drastically in the last 10 to 15 years. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So you think it's that different in Surrey than it is where I am?
I do. I mean, I think it's coming that way, but I think, and it has, continually progressed, but I think it started here a lot longer ago.
Sure. Okay. So yeah. And you mean like, so when did you move into the neighborhood? In the 90s?
Yeah, in the 90s.
And is your home built in the 90s?
Our home now currently was built in 2011. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And so it was I was envisioning you were in a 90s type neighborhood, but that's a newer street then.
Actually, actually, the house right next to me is a 90s house, but the house on the other side was built with mine. So it was
Wild.
Yeah. So that, it's kind of pockets, I guess. But.
So is your neighborhood mix of like all different demographics, races, and backgrounds, or is it now predominantly South Asian, or what is it?
It's becoming more of a mix almost, I would say, but for a while it has been predominantly a Chinese background, I would say.
Okay.
Chinese and Korean, and a little bit more South Asian now, probably too. But this is not an area in Surrey that was predominantly South Asian, where other neighborhoods are, right?
Yeah.
So, and Middle Eastern now too. Like, what's interesting? So I've been involved in the high school for the last, well, I'm not anymore, but I was for the last few years, and going to commencement year after year at our high school.
Yeah.
You would see the changes in the makeup of the kids graduating, right?
And you mean it's not just a bunch of little white faces walking across the stage anymore? Is that not? That's not the thing.
There's very few white faces. Actually.
I know it would be. Yeah, totally. We are a melting pot for the world. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Which is a great thing.
So, is your perception of Abbotsford is that we're not that, or what? Why do you think Abbotsford's so different than where you are?
Well, I just don't think. I mean, it probably isn't as much now, but I mean, over the last few years. So I was thinking of our business models, and I was thinking of farming an area and that kind of thing. And
okay, got it.
Farming in this area. I mean, I know some realtors who have farmed this area for 25 years, and it's not working for them
because they don't speak Cantonese or Korean or Hindi or whatever.
People don't know who they are. It used to be that people kind of knew who they were. Now they're like, "Who's this?" Right? Like, it's just the changes of our society, right? And it's not good or bad. It's just different, and so I think you have to rethink how you're approaching the way you do business, right? Because everybody's got their people they're going to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it. You know what? That is an interesting. That's an interesting thought. I have farmed 2 neighborhoods in my years of real estate, and I would say that both of them, I never had to think through a language or culture barrier thing because both of them, I would say, they were the majority of them were still European descent, Caucasian neighborhoods, right? Now, one of them has changed. I would say fairly significantly over the last 6 or 7 years, but it's not to a point where I think there are some neighborhoods where you need to speak the language, but I would describe the cultural shift in the neighborhoods I'm thinking of where there wouldn't necessarily be a need to speak Korean or Punjabi or anything like that because everybody that in the neighborhoods I'm around anyway, it's all still, English first. And I guess maybe what you're describing is you're in some areas where it's not English first. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a lot of my neighbors, it's probably not.
Yeah. So that certainly limits. You can't, I mean, not that you can't farm it, but I can imagine the productivity of farming it would be significantly different than.
I just don't think it's worth it, And honestly, I go to my mailbox and I get, 5 different things on any given day. So from different realtors. So I wonder about the effectiveness of that anyway. But
do you ever get anything dropped directly at your door, opposed to in your mailbox?
Yeah, occasionally.
That's what I did when I started farming. I did very little of mail, and because my thought on the mail was that you're just amongst all the rest of the noise with everybody else, and typically people just go through their mail over top of the recycling bin, right? And I experienced significantly different results by doing door-to-door delivery. And in fact, the door-to-door delivery ended up being relatively the same cost as the mail delivery because of the increased cost with Canada Post. So I could pay somebody $20 an hour. They would deliver roughly 100 homes in an hour. And when I worked it all out, it really wasn't different than going through Canada Post. Yet I felt like I was getting better readership and attention just by the fact that I'm landing on the door rather than in the junk mail with everybody else.
Right.
But that being said, I stopped doing that. So when COVID hit, I stopped doing that because of the perception of having random people walk onto people's yards. And I haven't gone back to it yet. And I've been doing mail. And so I'm doing the same neighborhood I've always done, but I'm doing mail. And so I'm sensing that the mail is not as effective at the door to door. So we'll see.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I do completely the referral program. So it's, I do mail, but it's just to my people. So
Yeah. You don't have, so you've never farmed a neighborhood?
a little bit in the very beginning, but really not much since. No.
When was the beginning for you?
End of 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what precipitated that? Well, why did you become a realtor?
Well,
not that it's a bad idea, but why would you become a realtor?
Well, you know what? It was actually something I had actually signed up for the course in my late 20s. I was in broadcasting, right? So I started in broadcasting, wasn't kind of doing too much in the first couple of years. Thought, I don't know, I may never make any money in broadcasting. So signed up for the course through UBC, but there was a waiting list at the time to get into it. So I was on the waiting list, and then I got a job offer in radio and went, okay.
What year was that approximately?
Let me see. That'd be probably like 88, 89.
So you did broadcasting you were in that field for quite some time then?
Yeah, 24 years. Yeah.
And what were you doing? Like, were you on radio, TV? What was your thing?
Mostly radio, radio morning shows mostly. So for over 20 years, I was up at 4 a.m. and doing the early morning thing.
Right now, everyone listening to this is cluing in, going, "That's why Shawn sounds so good on this podcast. she's got an incredible voice for radio." So what station were you doing?
I was when I first went to Vancouver, I was with Kiss FM, which is now Jack 96.9.
Yeah.
And WX 1130, which is News 1130.
I remember that when it was WX 1130.
So,
yep.
But it was country back then.
Okay.
So then I went to CKNW, and I was there for the majority of my career for over 14 years at CKNW and CFMI Rock 101.
And were you like news or weather, or what were you doing? I
was the traffic chick, which probably isn't the right thing to say in this day and age. But
well, I could think of other terminology if you want to go. I think chick's okay. That's pretty good.
That's what we called ourselves. So, so I was in the eye in the sky. I flew around the city and I did that forever. And then because CKNW was affiliated with BC TV, now Global. Mm-hmm. So then I did some TV there, and I did some TV at CBC as well for about 5 years, and just freelance stuff all over the place. Actually, one of the things that I did do through the 90s was on location broadcasts on the weekends at new condo developments all over the place.
No way. So, and that would have been early 2000s then, or what?
No, not in the 90s.
In the 90s.
So.
Oh, you said 90s.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I was at a lot of new development then. It was kind of a booming thing, and we were all over the place. And I met a lot of realtors and a lot of marketers that said, "Oh, gee, if you ever get out of this, you should become a realtor." And I'm like, "Well, I already thought of that." So yeah. Anyway, it was always the thing in the back of my head that I would do next. And broadcasting isn't what it once was. It's and then the older you get, it's like, well, do I leave or do I wait for them to have me leave? So yeah.
Did you go to BCIT for that, or where was your training?
I did.
You did.
Yeah,
okay.
I went to BCIT.
That's kind of like the place still, right? For anything TV, radio related.
Yeah, I would say so. I was at UVic to start with and was going to do a journalism degree, but I just wanted to get to work, so I got out of there and went to BCIT. It's a great program because it's 2 years and you're in work. I mean, all of their programs are like that. They're very work oriented, right?
They are. Yeah. You don't take breaks. Yeah. My wife did a program there, and what she did in 2 years was equivalent to what a lot of people do in 3 or 4.
That's right. Yeah. So, but it's a tough industry now, period. I mean, I wouldn't want to be going into it now. Right. But I was lucky. I got kind of the tail end of the heyday, I would say. It was great.
So
amazing.
When you're like, I've actually I didn't realize we had a traffic pro on the call this morning, but now that I know we do, when you're doing the eye in the sky thing, and they cut to you and they go, "Hey, Shawn, we're up there. What are you seeing?" Are you actually like seeing everything that's going on from up there in detail, or I've often wondered, like, how are they talking about something on the Alex Fraser from, whatever, 3 kilometers in the air? Like, what do you actually see when you're up there?
Well, we're only 1,500 feet in the air.
Oh, so you're a kilometer and a half.
Yeah,
No, wait, what
we're
is that?
not.
1,500 feet. That's not even that far.
No,
Oh,
not
wow,
that far.
you're low. Okay.
You can see a lot actually. And yeah, I mean, we did some crazy things from up there. Like had a call in the newsroom one day. There's a police chase happening. Somebody had I can't even remember what precipitated it, but anyway, the police are chasing this guy in North Delta, and he ends up going over the Alex Fraser Bridge and into New West, and we followed him the whole way. And in the end, he came up. Had snowed actually, so he came up in front of a house and stopped. The car door flies open. He gets out and runs. He runs behind the house, and there's a school behind him. He's running across the field. So we can see, and then the police all come in, and we see it from above. So there's all these police cars coming from all directions, and they bring out the dogs, and the dog ran and took him down on the field. Like, we just watched all this happen, and I would like play by playing it all, right? So
that's amazing.
It was pretty exciting sometimes. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Lots of boring mornings, but lots of fun ones.
Yeah. So 2007, that's when you joined. That's when you got your license.
Yeah.
And then where did you go from there?
I started at another brokerage in Walnut Grove.
You can say the name. It's okay. You don't have to be quiet.
It was Home Life in Walnut Grove.
Okay.
And I joined up with Pamela Steunenberg.
Oh, right. That's right.
She was relicensing, and we knew each other because she was in this neighborhood as well. Her kids, went to school with mine.
Yeah.
And so we joined forces there.
Sweet. Okay.
And we, started off pretty well. And first half of 2008 was pretty good, and then
everything went to crap.
Stopped in June. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Goodness, what have I done? But by the beginning of 2009, it just started up again. It was so strange.
Wow.
So, but it's always made me, hang on to my money and watch where it's going, just in case.
Okay, so 2000, everything goes to hell in a handbasket in 2008. And then what did you do? How did you, how did you process that? You've just been licensed.
Yeah, well, I've just been licensed, and in fact, I kept working in radio right up until June of 2008.
Oh, so you were double dipping.
Yeah, just for those few months. And then June 2008, we'd done pretty well over the spring. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I finish off in radio, and that was it. We didn't sell another thing for the rest of the year. So
wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh, like what has happened here? So, but we just kind of kept the faith, I guess. And by 2009, it slowly started to build up again. I can remember a listing in January 2009. It was like, poof, okay, here we go. And then it kind of, came back.
I remember that too. I remember feeling, I even feel like it was still pretty crappy in early 2009. That was my experience anyway. But I do remember by kind of like halfway through 2009, it felt like, people didn't think we were all dying to the same degree that we felt like we were dying in late. I mean, that stock market crash was crazy. That was a worldwide event. Everyone was just terrified. And yeah, I remember people being frozen at that time.
Well, the unknown, right? It just gets us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, when did you join us?
Oh boy, when did we join? 2007, 8, 9, 10. I think it was 2011.
2011. And then the market, so when you joined us, I mean, the market kind of bumped along 11, 12, 13. 14, it kind of started to pick up a little bit, and then everyone knows the story from, 2015 forward.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was a very, my memory of that time, of those years, was that you had to work to,
you did.
It was hard work from 2009 until 2014. That's my recollection of those years. But it was, if you worked hard, you got rewarded, but it was such different conditions than we have today. I looked, just before giving you a call this morning, I thought, I'm going to check out the active inventory in the Fraser Valley just to see, because I knew we'd end up reminiscing. And at that time, it was totally common to have 8, 9, 10,000 homes for sale easily.
Wow.
In the Fraser Valley. In fact, we crossed 10,000 properties for sale multiple times in the Fraser Valley board. And today we're almost as low. We're just over 3,200 as of a few minutes ago when I checked before I called you. So it's
and
not
look
even
at how many
comparable.
more people are here in those 10 years, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not apples to apples, that's for sure. I mean,
No.
I remember when we get those updates monthly, they talked about a couple months ago. They talked about the fact that the last time we saw inventory levels like this was in the 80s. But in
Mm-hmm.
the 80s, to your previous point, population was completely different.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was somewhat similar, you could say, in 2009, 10, 11, but in the 80s, it sure as heck wasn't the same. And
No.
that's the last time we've had inventory like this. So it's a different world. What are you? So what has your? I don't know. Tell me a story about a recent buyer that you've been successful with. Like, have you just been grinding it out with people, or have you been one of the lucky ones where you're managing to get places? Like, what's your grind been like in the last few months?
Oh, yeah, the buying part has definitely been tough, but it is, what I find, because I work by referral, I end up all over the place, and more so in the last few years because people are spreading their wings, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you follow your clients, when you work relationally like that, you're all over. So I've been in Port Moody a bit with some younger buyers. I mean, it's kind of hip and cool, and they love it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's interesting working with some people right now they were looking there, and there's some condos in the high rises. I mean, they're selling, and there's not many of them, but they're not in multiples, or at least not all of them. So you kind of have a bit of time to think. And now they're shifting gears a little bit and thinking about something different. And what about a townhome in Willoughby? We, kind of a comparable price range. And so I started going through some things with them, and they're like, well, what do you mean it's gone? I'm like, it's gone. They're gone as soon as they come up. They're in multiples. They're selling I just heard back from one realtor because he didn't have anything. I didn't know if it was gone or what. It was listed at $749. It sold for $850.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so this client's just like, what are you talking about? It's like, look, I told you this is where we're at. You just hadn't really seen it because where we were looking was kind of okay. So it's very frustrating with buyers, that's for sure. And I mean, even when you get a listing, it's like you prepare for it, you work it, and a week later it's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's intense work for like a 10-day
it's
period.
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to make sure you've got, okay, if we're going to list here, I have to be available completely. Weekend, I've got to be available to see this through to here. And that's what you do, right? And then it just kind of sit back for a week and kind of, I don't know, very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd.
So do you have anyone in your buyer pool or people that you've been working with as buyers where it's created a conflict in that like their expectations are not in line with market conditions and you've had to navigate difficult conversations? Or have you not had that? Has everybody been able to kind of get their head around the environment and you've figured out how to get them into a place?
I mean, I've had a few where they honestly had to lose a few first because they listen to you and say, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear it's crazy. Okay. But until they actually deal with it, they don't quite get it. So, they'll write an offer a little above and go, well, I've gone above asking. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to do it. Okay. So we try and then find out where it's sold for. Then, okay, now we get it. Right. So it does take some people a little bit to sort of see that, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Even though you show them, but, yeah, it's just the most frustrating thing, isn't it? It's just honestly. And then I've got so many people kind of waiting in the wings, like, yeah, we're thinking we'd like to make this move. Can you keep your eye open for this? Well,
right. And
I can, but if you're not ready to go, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. There's like there's this growing. So I'll give you an idea that we're kicking around in the brokerage here. Something that I believe we're moving ahead with, but it's not perfect or fine tuned. But it's on that topic of, I think everybody has this growing list of clients where it's like, we could call it, we would move if. And they're, they all live in various properties, and they're all saying, well, if I could find X, then I would do this. So we were brainstorming around this about 2 weeks ago at our team staff, brokerage meeting. And so the idea we came away with was, why don't we create an internal database of properties that we could sell? Meaning, like, these are the property types that we have in our wings, but the only reason we can't sell them is because we can't find something for those owners to buy. And so way back in the day, you might remember, it was totally common within not just our brokerage, but many brokerages to have, like, we'd have this going list of brand new listings or listings coming to market, and we would have office tours, and we'd oftentimes have these lists on the board in the office. And the only reason that we don't do that anymore is because the market has far outpaced anything like that, practically speaking, and it's not worth it. However, if we had a revolving list of, like, let's say you've got a place where you go, okay, it's Fraser Heights, it's XYZ neighborhood, it's X amount of bedrooms, X amount of square footage. It's not necessarily an address. You're not putting an address out there, but it's a description of a home in detail enough where if we had this internal list and, all 180 realtors have access to it, I feel like that could lead to some business that otherwise isn't happening because of how low the inventory levels are. And so we're just working through how to create that and how to keep it updated, and whether or not people would actually gravitate to that. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think it could work for sure. I mean, that whole domino effect will come into play. So yeah, okay, I've got somebody who will buy that house, and I'm like, okay, but we can't find anything for them. So, but it could work.
And especially, like, if we had like, we could easily have 150 to 200 properties on this list at all times, right? Just think of all the agents we have and all the markets they work in the Fraser Valley. I mean, that's probably even low. Like, a lot of people would have 4 or 5 people at one time. And so you're right. It does create a domino problem, because if you've got that place in Fraser Heights that I can sell, and I come to you and I go, hey, Shawn, I can sell that. You now go, okay, well, that's great, but I need to find X. But now, rather than you only looking for X for those people, maybe now I'm looking for it too, because I'm motivated, because I want to sell Fraser Heights.
Yeah. True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing too is like, this isn't true of all people, but I find some people don't want to go to market. So let's say someone's looking for a specific property, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But let's say it's a hard to find property, and they go, well, we can't list our home because we can't be homeless. I think that some of those people would actually do a deal if somebody gave them a deal that said, okay, here's the money you want, and we'll put a subject to the seller finding something in there for like a month, right?
Yeah.
That's not looked upon too favorably when you go to market. Like, you can get a lot of pushback in the environment from other agents. But if you're not on the market and a buyer, you got a buyer who goes, yeah, I want to buy that home, and sure, we'll give you 4 or 5 weeks to go find something. That too is possibly leading to business that otherwise wouldn't have happened as a result of this, this networking medium. So anyways, that's the thought process. And I know we're working at it right now to try to create it, and probably have this like digital revolving list, like through our wants and haves or something like that. We haven't fine-tuned it, but I don't know. It's obviously irrelevant in a world where there's 9,000 homes for sale in the Fraser Valley, but when there's only 3,000, we're all in this same spot. And that would be like leveraging the power of our agents, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think the only downside I see to that is that some people are going to feel like, well, yeah, but shouldn't I go to market, because who knows what I might have got.
Absolutely. And the reality is that if you take 100 homes, this path might only be right for 6 people, but that's still 6 people that otherwise wouldn't have done anything, right?
That's true.
So it doesn't I totally agree. I think there's some properties where you're absolutely brain dead if you don't go to market. But keep in mind, some of these people are stuck, right? They want to move, but it's this chicken and egg. How do I go about this and do it the right way? And so I think for some people, it could actually be the right situation. And I do feel like in other eras when there was, it was harder to sell a home, we used to leverage the internal power of our brokerage more because we needed to, right? Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you couldn't sell something for 3, 4, 5 months, like the amount of stuff that went on internally to get a place sold, I think was far more significant than today. And so it's harder. I get it when you've got an environment where you got 15 offers on a place. But I think that this is possibly a way that we can leverage our power, because the reality is that our agents sell a ton of real estate. So if we can figure out how to tap into that, maybe it leads to something we otherwise wouldn't have had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, to be continued. We'll see if we can fine tune that.
Well, I wish we'd see more inventory, that's for sure, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I know. It's hard to know what leads to that. Did you hear about Latimer Heights? Do you know that build that in Langley there that
Yeah, the towers?
yeah, sold out in whatever it was, 16
Yeah.
hours or 12 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, they don't even have to advertise or do anything. Actually, that there was a thread on Facebook about that, and they're talking about how it's all gone. And I thought, they're still running radio ads. Why are they even doing that? Because you can't sign up. There's nothing to sign up to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Do you have a new grandbaby?
I do. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. Yeah.
But the 1-year-old is a COVID baby, right? It must be.
Yeah.
Well, like born in COVID, but they're in Australia or New Zealand. I always forget.
New Zealand. They're in New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand. Yeah, so I haven't met her.
Oh, you haven't. Oh.
No, I was actually there right before COVID hit. So coming home, it was, like, have you been in China? Those were the questions at the airport. That was the end of February.
Yeah.
And my daughter was pregnant with the newest, but saw the other little guy at that time. But yeah, so we're waiting for something to change. Yeah,
that's. And what brought your daughter moved to New Zealand many years ago, or how long ago?
6 years she's been there. She met her husband traveling in Europe, and there you go. Don't let your kids travel, because you know what? They won't come home.
Yeah, I actually have my wife's parents are arriving. They live in Canada, but they live on the other side of the country, and they're arriving today. And they haven't seen my kids in a long time. So my household this morning was all abuzz with excitement for Grandma and Grandpa showing up.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, it's interesting being at this stage, because this is what we talk about with our friends all the time. Sort of, where are we going when we retire? Because most people I know aren't staying put. They're going to go somewhere, or a lot of them. In fact, I've been moving friends away. So, I mean, we're already seeing our friends go elsewhere.
Where are they going?
And then, one couple went to Kamloops a year ago.
Yeah.
They're going up Sunshine Coast, maybe the island. So, and that's one of the discussions is like, okay, well, you can't follow and I always say to them, you can't follow your kids. Trust me, because because my daughter's a lot older than my 2 boys, right? So
what's the age spread of your kids?
She is 14 and 15 years older than them.
Wow.
So they're 19 and 20, and she's turning 34.
Okay.
Yeah. So, with her, she left home at 17 to go play soccer at a college in the States, in Memphis.
Yeah.
And, that she's like a gypsy. She's been all over the place, and you can't follow your kids, right? They're going to go do what they want to do. And now our older boy is in Calgary, and he didn't come home this summer. So he's like, no, he's at University of Calgary, and he's just there. He loves it. So we have one left.
Do you have ambition to be somewhere else? Like, how do you think through that? Do you think you'll be in the Lower Mainland forever, or do you think of going somewhere else?
No, we definitely won't be in the Lower Mainland forever.
No, what would you do?
I think we'll go to the island.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that you've spent time there before, or what makes you love the island?
Yeah, I have. Well, my family's all up in Campbell River. No, I don't want to go to Campbell River, but a little further down the island. But yeah, that's so. My daughter and her husband. That's where they're coming back to Canada in about a year, and that's where they're going to go. So
you are going to follow your kids then?
Well, I may follow them in that sense, but we actually started talking about it before she did. So that was kind of, maybe fortuitous that we may end up all there. And then I may actually be around my grandkids, which will be nice. But my boys could be who knows where. Like, they all have to go do what they're going to do. I mean, you have to encourage that and let them do it, right? I think they grow immensely when they leave and leave everything, like kind of leave the high school friends, go and meet new people. I think it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you, ambitions in real estate, how do you think through, I don't know, let me just leave clean slate. Like, how do you think through the whole concept of, well, grow your business, do more than you did last year, become faster, stronger, whatever. Like how does that roll through in your brain? And especially, I mean, at some point in time, it sounds like you're maybe considering a move in the not too distant future. So how do you work through those typical conversations that are, that every agent needs to think through?
Well, and that's what's interesting about being at this stage, right? Because, I'm 14 years in the business, but I'm not a lifer, So yeah, I should still be looking at growing and all of that. And I am to a certain extent, but I'm also pretty content with a certain level to make a living and enjoy and, be consistent. So when you think about, retirement a couple of years away, it is pretty hard to think about, I need to build.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's a tough business in that sense because the competitive aspect of it is always there. And there's always that comparison that, there's such a push towards big teams and all of this, like these are the guys, right? And you think, well, are they? Like, are they better because they sell more? Are they a better realtor, or are they, I don't know. I struggle with that sometimes, right? Because
teams do. I mean, the concept of a team. This is, I mean, my opinion is that it's not that it's a better. I mean, I guess a team could structure it in such a way and say this is a better option for the client because we got more people, but the birthplace of a team is to have support for the agents. Like it's
right.
to be able to work together and leverage abilities and cover for one another. I mean, I think that's where the concept of a team starts. And then I think that some teams can certainly offer, more service than an individual agent can offer if they're doing things well. But I mean, based on my conversations with people and my experience, most people end up in teams because they want to be with people, work together, and they like working together rather than working alone, and they need support or want support.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It has more to do with the agent than it does the client, is what I'm trying to say. And but I hear you. It gets pitched as though it's, all based around client. But I think some teams are very successful at creating a great team experience for the client. But even still, it kind of, I think the root of it is in people wanting to be together and not alone.
Yeah, well, it's very isolating, that's for sure. And this last couple of years has really driven that point home, right? I mean, I have found that for sure. I've struggled with that. It's a very isolating thing. I'm not, someone who works well in isolation. So if you don't have a couple of colleagues that you chat with all the time, at least, then you're pretty alone, right? Like, I mean, I never go into the office, or once a month, basically.
Because you just have no need to go, right?
I have no need, and there's nobody there when I go, usually. So for our office in Surrey, there's not a lot of, if I do find someone there that I know, great, we have a chat, and that's kind of heartwarming, right? But that part's been hard, right? To not have sort of that social interaction. I mean, we're trying to bring that back now this fall with some things happening. Yeah,
it is shifting. Yeah, like people are coming out of the cocoon slowly, I would say. And some of that is, some of that is personal choice for people. I think some people too have just they've figured out a new way to live and do life and do their business, and they're probably never going to come back to the office in the same capacity that they once did, right? And so it might mean that heck, of course all offices are going to be quieter than they were because of what's gone on.
Yeah.
But I think that's changing a little bit. But everyone's hesitant because I can, for the last, year and a half, I feel like we're always looking over our shoulder going, oh, is there going to be a new rule or thing that comes down from government saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. So it's, you don't want to go and rev something up if you're just going to get shut down again. I know I have felt like that for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like, why would David now come to Surrey to hold the Surrey meeting? Or, that's never going to happen again, right? These online monthly meetings, it works. Everybody's there if they want to be. And yeah, I mean, certain things like that just aren't going to go back.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be, I think there's going to be, we're going to have to find our way in that. Like, because there's certainly a desire for people to see one another face to face. I know that in November, we're going to do, for the first time in a long time, we're actually going to do some training. So I'm going to lead business planning, a couple business planning sessions for 2022, and we're actually going to go back and use the Surrey training room again, and we're going to record those times so that people can view them whenever they want. But we are going to do live training, and we'll probably have a capacity on the room of like 20 people. I'm not even sure. We have to figure all that out. But we are going to do it in person because there's a desire for it. I mean, I want to. I want to see people. I want to do things in person. I'm tired of Zoom.
Yeah.
But it's just,
I agree.
trying to find the balance of like what's allowed, what's responsible, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
But I can definitely say that I'm, at the point where I think I just want to start doing some stuff that we haven't done in a while because I know for a fact there's a strong desire from people to have that. So that's going to happen in November. We're going to have a few,
good. Well, I look forward to that.
Couple back-to-back sessions in November. Yeah, and I know there's some get-togethers happening as well. So yeah, we'll start to see it slowly. Yeah, I think change. Good. Hopefully, yeah.
That will be welcome.
You have a group of. I mean, you're not in a team, but you have a group of people that you lean on for like sharing ideas and business planning and stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah. So I do follow the BiFi program, and we have a little BiFi group that is, mainly our agents, but a couple of agents from other brokerages as well. So there's a group of about, how many of us are there? Maybe 8. So yeah. So we meet once a month via Zoom at this point, and that's helpful just to be able to chat and talk things through, or ask for help on something specific, and it's that's definitely a lifeline. Like, to not have that would be really difficult, I think. Yeah.
And are you in the BiFi? How do you engage with the BiFi system? Are you like on the scale of? Are you like David Corey?
I was just going to say, I'm not David Corey.
Everyone points at David Corey as, well, he's Brian's favorite. Let's be honest.
He certainly is. Actually, I've been with them 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. Okay.
10 years. But I was coached for about 7, and I'm not coached now.
Yeah.
So for the last 3, I guess. So they frequently, you're getting the calls all the time, are you coming back? And I keep thinking about it and then can't quite decide. So I just kind of keep doing what I do. I'm not as hardcore as David is, but I totally appreciate what he does. Like, sometimes think, okay, I should be doing more of this, but it is great. Like, I just think the personal interaction of the system is so good for me. Like, that's what I thrive on. And I haven't, like, the pop by stuff and all that, haven't really done it much through COVID, and then just did it for Thanksgiving. And, it's like, oh, this does feel good. Like, I need to so I'm kind of trying to get myself going into doing more of it again.
Did you physically pop by, or how did you do a pop by?
I physically popped by.
How many people?
About 30, I guess.
Okay.
So I'll do it in groups like that. Like, I'll kind of, I did pies, the whole Thanksgiving pie thing.
Yep.
Used to be like a reverse pie party where they'd come to you, but that didn't work so well through COVID. So I was all over the place delivering pies before Thanksgiving. And then, I'll do something else this week and next, pumpkins, I guess. And that'll be some of the other people that I didn't hit with pies, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good way to try to meet face to face. If you don't, with the pumpkin, at least you can leave it on the step, take a picture, text it to them and say, hey, dropped off a little something, sorry I missed you, kind of thing. So at least it gives you that touch, right? You get, and then people are getting back to you, and a little conversation ensues, and there you go.
So what value do you get? Like, if you had to answer, like, why are you with why the BiFi program, or what have you gotten from that? What is it that keeps you going there?
Well, I think return business for one. Like, I mean, I just moved some people, unfortunately, to Kamloops. Another couple to Kamloops. But it was the sixth deal I've done with them since I met them.
That's amazing.
Right. So, between them and referrals. So there really is a relationship that builds, right? And I prefer that. What I find, because I've had, obviously I've had some online leads and leads through the office. And usually when I get those and work with those people, they confirm to me that the referral method is better, because I find you get people who don't really know you. So they're not trusting you the same way. They didn't come word of mouth from someone they know and trust.
Yeah.
So they're second guessing you all the time. You're just another realtor. They just found you online. More often than not, those end up being the most difficult people. Like, I just think, oh gosh, why am I even doing this with them? And I guess, I don't know, I'm not numbers driven enough to want to work with everybody, because I need that. I just am like, I want to work with people I want to be with. And so, I don't know. For me, that's what I find. And I know lots of people, work the online leads and do very well. And you meet some great people that way too. But
totally.
more often than not, I think you don't. That's my feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's harder. It's harder work, right?
It's hard, all right. And I don't know what the stat is, but I know that, the amount, if you were to look at go back 10 years and look at the number of sales across the country in relation to the amount of online leads across the country in a year, and then look at that same metric 10 years later, the amount of online leads has grown exponentially, while the amount of sales are not that much more significant, meaning that, for every transaction where there used to be, let's say originally one online lead per transaction, now there's 15 online leads. And so you're fishing in a way more diluted pool against a bunch of other people. And it is hard. It's a grind. I have a lot of, I wouldn't want to do it. I understand why people do it. I have a lot of admiration for people that stick to it and do it for a year or 2 years or whatever. And I think that it's in some cases a necessity for people who are particularly newer in the business, where are they going to encounter opportunity? And like if you think back to your entry into real estate, like, you came with experience, age, maturity, and probably already a ton of relationships, obviously, because of the connections you had. And so you could jump into a BiFi model and immediately have a rich database of relationships that you could be in contact with, right? But I watch people who are, whatever, younger, let's say 23, 24, 25, they haven't had a previous career. How else can they possibly encounter opportunity except through online leads? And it's not the only way, but it certainly is a convenient way to encounter opportunity. So I do get why people do it, but you're right. It's a friggin' grind.
Yeah, and I totally agree for younger agents, newer agents, it's a great idea. Although I think at that stage, those are the people that should be joining a big team. I think that's where they're going to get the mentorship and the work, really. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. And I even think, I'm even going back and forth in my head for me, if we go to the island in the next couple of years, am I going to keep working? And I can't see myself going to a new area and starting again on my own. So what I could see is possibly joining a team and being a buyer's agent in a new area where I'm probably going to be dealing with people like me that are moving there. You know what I mean? So,
and you might not know the area, but you're so experienced at handling a transaction.
Yeah, hopefully that would be a neat little transition. And well, my husband thinks I should do that, because he says, what else are you going to do? I'm like, you know what? I've raised kids so long and worked that I feel like I don't have any hobbies. So I need to know what else I want to do, and I can't figure it out.
Do you not have any? You have no hobbies?
Well, I mean, not really. Like, I dabble in different things, but I don't have, like, he has passions. He has things he will do, and not a problem for him to find things to do. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. I could do a bit of this. I could try that. So yeah, I'm not sure what it would be.
Huh.
So in any case, moving to a new area, if I were to do that and join a team, I mean, what a great way to meet people in the community and, learn the community and all that. It would be ideal that way, right? So
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what life brings. I don't know.
There's lots of hobbies there's lots of hobbies you can get involved in here, but I would imagine the island is, well, look at our province, right? There's opportunities everywhere to do cool things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I'll figure it out.
You should get into, doesn't somebody that you know, is it one of your kids? Who's a rower?
Oh yeah, my son. We were just in Victoria this weekend watching him row, and it was actually, that's a funny thing because we ended up standing outside for hours waiting. They got delayed and started talking to a fellow who was standing by us, and he's 77 and he rows. So he was there to watch some members of his club. He wasn't competing in this one. And he started telling me about how rowing is the best exercise as you age.
It's incredible.
Yeah, there's no impact, but it's amazing
full
for
body
strength and all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I started thinking, interesting. So there's a Fort Langley Rowing Club. I just looked it up.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
So I may go check that out.
They go up and down the river right in Fort Langley.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool sport. I learned a lot about it being there talking to him. So my son just loves it. Yeah.
So you know what's a good hobby?
What's that?
Eating.
Well, that's the problem. See, that's probably the only one I really have down. So that's why I'm looking at others.
What do you eat? What are you good at eating?
What am I good at eating? Oh,
you got to be good. You got to be good at eating. Not like what can I eat, but what are you good at eating?
What am I good at eating? Oh gosh, I don't know. Tapas and red wine, probably. Yeah, stuff like that.
Do you cook or do you not like to cook?
Oh yeah, I cook. Yeah, I definitely cook. Yeah.
Okay, well there you got hobbies right there. You like to eat, cook, and drink red wine.
Yeah, but not the best, right? As I ate.
Well, it's all calories. Best. I get it. I know. Yeah. I had last night. I had. I'll be generous to myself. I'll say half a bottle of wine last night. My wife and I, we opened 2 bottles. I opened a Pinot Noir, and then she opened a Sauvignon Blanc, and then we both ended up having a little bit of both. And the good thing is like, I woke up this morning and there was some left in both bottles, which means like, we weren't complete idiots. But but it's amazing because like you wake up in the morning and we both, the alarms went off and we looked at each other and we were like, like there's such a difference to how you feel with and without alcohol in your body. At least for me anyway. Like if I go like 4, 5, 6 days without a drink, have my tea at night, don't drink anything, like I pop out of bed like a bunny rabbit. but if you have like, whatever, even like 2 glasses of wine, but like, let's be honest, I didn't have 2, I probably had 3. And then, I'm groggy in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it tastes so good going down.
It is kind of great at the end of the day, I have to say.
Yeah. Are you like wine every day or no?
Not every day. No, not every day. But
not just on weekends.
Yeah, not necessarily, no.
Well, maybe your next...
You're fishing out everybody's bad habits on these podcasts, you know that.
No, I'm not. Come on, who have I actually... I've maybe done that to one person that I can think of, but I've not. I mean, who doesn't drink wine? Everybody drinks wine.
Well, some don't, apparently.
You said you like tapas, like appetizers?
Yeah, I mean, that in a social situation, that would probably be my hobby, but that's not a great hobby to have.
Do you make anything delicious? What's your best appetizer?
Oh, my best appetizer. Oh, no, I don't know that I make any great appetizers. I'm more the dinner girl, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like roast beef Yorkshire pudding or what kind of...
No, not that at all. We don't eat any red meat in this house, so...
Only red wine. So what do you like to cook?
Only red wine, exactly. So, more like the fish and things like that, I think.
Oh, okay. You eat a lot of seafood?
Yeah. Yeah, we eat quite a bit. Salmon especially. So, yeah.
That's delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. Yeah.
So when you move to the island, you can somehow incorporate your love of wine and seafood, and that would work perfectly well. You just got to find a way to make it a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how does that work? I'm not opening a restaurant, so it won't be that. But have my restaurant days behind me,
Did you do restaurants?
Oh yeah. Well, I did the Keg, and
like you were a server at the Keg.
I was a server at the Keg, yeah. Way back when in the 80s, actually, when David first toured us through Little Oak in Abbotsford, we were introduced to John Corey.
Oh, okay.
And I said, well, John, we've met, and I can tell you exactly which stool you sat on at the bar at the keg.
Oh, this is gold.
Yeah.
Which keg?
Abbotsford keg, right where Little Oak is now.
So you worked in that keg?
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. And so tell me, John must have just been a scoundrel at the bar. What was he doing?
Oh, he was lovely, actually. He was lovely, but he'd be there with the Cohegs and
Paul and Peter,
Paul and Peter, and there was another realtor now that I can't think who it is.
Probably, I don't know. They're not
I can't think of his name, but I know there's another guy.
Jim. No, not Jim. It would have been maybe one of the Home Life guys back then. I can't think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you served those guys at the Abbotsford office, which was then the keg.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good story. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the days. Yeah. Working at the keg. It was pretty fun.
Well,
pretty crazy, but pretty fun back in the day.
Maybe don't go back to that. Although the keg, did you have fun doing that? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, totally loved it. Yeah.
I have go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, so back in that day, the girls were hostesses and cocktail waitresses, and we all wore long dresses to the floor.
Okay.
Like, it makes it sound like it's Little House on the Prairie. I don't know why they all had to wear long dresses, but that's what we did. And guys were the servers. Only guys served dinner. and then at that time, they were like breaking the rules, like they were going all out in, towards the 21st century, I guess.
Yeah.
And they started having a girl, kind of a token girl. So I was the token girl that became a food waiter.
Really?
Yeah. So that was a big deal in the early 80s. God, I sound like I'm 100. Anyhow, yeah. It was really ridiculous when you think about it.
I have the extent of my serving ability was I went so high up the food chain as Boston Pizza way back in the day.
Okay. Yeah.
But I love food. I love dining out at nice restaurants. I love the whole experience, and I have a lot of admiration for a really good server, right? Like somebody totally. Who can like take control of the table and kind of lead the way and do it right? So I have this recurring thought in my head that at some point in my life, I actually want to be a server. Not that I know this sounds crazy because I've got a different career, but if there was an opportunity where let's say I'm like a mainstay at a particular restaurant that I love, I would say to that owner, I'd be like, hey, I will serve for you for free. Like, I just want to be able to do that from time to time because I love food, I love wine, I love people, and I would love the opportunity to have that responsibility for a table because I think that that's a really valuable and amazing thing. When you have a great server, that can really change a meal and an evening out, right? And so I have this desire to do that. At some point in time, I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. There's even a restaurant in Abbotsford here. It's Abbotsford's most like fine dining restaurant. I actually just took Dave Bawa there the other day, and he was quite impressed by it. I would do it there if I could. I haven't shared this idea with the owner, but maybe I will at some point because I just think that'd be a lot of fun. And I loved when I was a server at Boston Pizza, I made so much money in tips.
Yeah, me too.
Because I just I don't know, it was natural, and I thought every table was an opportunity to, just have fun and do something unique. And I appreciate it when I'm out for dinner and there's a great server. I appreciate that a lot.
I do too. I totally agree. And it was the time in my life where I had more cash in my pocket than any other time.
Yeah. Oh no, it can be lucrative. I have a friend who's a school teacher. She still serves at the keg in Abbotsford because she can't give up the money because the money is so good. She'll serve there like once or twice a week. And she's been there forever, right? Like she's probably worked at the keg on and off for like 15 to 20 years. And it would just be brain dead for her to not do that. And she enjoys it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this past weekend, we were in Victoria watching my son row. And when I left the Abbotsford keg, I moved to Victoria and worked at one there. So I went back to that keg the first time in oh my gosh, I hadn't been in there in over 30 years. So that was really weird to go back and see that keg. And that one was, the money we made there was unbelievable. Like, wow, it was so great.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun to relive that.
No doubt.
Yeah. It's definitely the way to go if you like, as a student, that's, I tell my boys, this is what you need to do. And so my son in Calgary worked at Earl's over the summer, and he was like, "You're right." I said, "I told you."
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. If you put effort into it and you get, and there's better times to get shifts, and the bar tables versus the dining tables in different restaurants, all different.
Yeah. And it's busy and hard sometimes, right? But
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And loud, super loud.
Well, I couldn't do it now. It would be too exhausting. I'd die. But when you're young, it's the best.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the rest of your day like? You got any big appointments today?
I do. I'm going out trying to see a couple of townhomes. So
what market?
Yeah, in Willoughby, which is really difficult, but managed to get into a couple. So again, we'll go through the process of like, well, this is not what it's going to sell for.
That market's insane right now, right? Like the Willoughby, I think is like Willoughby townhouse market. I think Joe Pratap told me yesterday. He said it's just like you can't get anything, and it's $100,000 over.
Yeah, easy. So anyway.
So these are brand new listings that are going to take offers in 5 days or something, or what?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Well, we'll leave you to it. I'm certainly appreciate your time and hanging out. It was fun. I like chatting with you.
Yeah, fun to catch up for sure. And hopefully we'll see each other at more social things as we move forward here.
Totally. And for sure, like I said, in November, we're going to have some in-person 2022 business planning that you're going to see announcements on that relatively soon, I would think. We'll see you there, I'm sure.
Awesome. That's great. Good news.
Have a great day, Shawn.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye.